what you think you are able to bring to the team dynamic, the training dynamic, the individual interactions you have with the women on your team, with the perspective that you have from women's athletics.
Yeah, thanks. My high school coach was the matron of honor at my wedding, and she is my daughter Ellie's godmother. And so I think it's something that has always, it was not actually what I planned to do, but it's something that, it's law school, but I think that that's something that has always been important to me. It was a huge part of my life to have strong female coaches, and I did every sport. Was lucky enough to have that at a lot of levels. So, and I think there's also the added part for me of also being a parent. So with an athlete, with one child who does like athletics, one who completely hates it. But so I think just having all of those experiences is definitely helpful. I mean, I came up in college without a female coach, and that works well too. But I think it is. I think they appreciate that I've run at a high level and been in their shoes, and so it is helpful. Some of the things that they're going through to have a female coach at the highest level.
Thank you. Dave, I won't ask you.
Okay, good, don't ask it.
No, I just want, you and your programs have been so consistently performing throughout the years. I think we're accustomed to seeing someone in bright orange at the front of packs, whether it's as individuals or as teams. And I wondered if you talk a little bit just about that consistency, about building a program over time, the patience that it takes when maybe it's not all coming together, but the confidence that you have in knowing that you have a system in place that you can wrap it all up when it counts.
Yeah, I think kind of just echoing what's already been said, I think it comes down to individual athletes and kind of their perspective and their dreams and prioritizing them. And I think when athletes feel supported and empowered and are given ownership over their own careers and get to make some of their own decisions, I think that's very powerful. The program is a collection of individuals. It's the individuals that make the program. And I think it's not the opposite. And so at times we've had a really good group of individuals. Other times, not so much. I think right now we're on one of those waves where we've got a really good group of people that support each other, are excited for each other, definitely challenge each other. We got a bunch of men and women that want to run the race here. We have 10 of each that want to run, and they're all hoping they're the ones that get tapped, and 3 of them aren't going to. And I know there's going to be some disappointment, but it'll take 30, 60 seconds, something like that, and they'll be right back out there cheering on their teammates. So, I think I answered your question. I'm going to keep rambling. If I keep going, so I'll stop.
I will open the floor up to the media. Please remember to state the outlet that you're with and speak up so we can hear you both in the room and on the webcast.
Yes? Jonathan Gola here from Let'sRun.com. Question for Vin. This meet has been billed as a sellout. I was wondering, could you explain how a cross-country meet sells out, and what's the limiting factor preventing getting more fans on the course?
Yeah, that's a great question. Probably about a year ago, we started to think about what would be the ideal capacity here at Panorama Farms, and we then made our plans accordingly. So we anticipated that we'd be able to shuttle with almost 50 buses the number of people who would come here who are spectators, and we add the other 2,000 people who are here, for instance. All of those, of the student athletes, the coaches, etc., and we feel like we could probably, on this farm, we could probably handle somewhere between 6,500 and 7,000, and for everybody to have a great experience. I think it's the greatest thing in the world that this meeting was sold out.
Is there anything specific that, why it wouldn't be able to handle more?
There's just a whole group, a committee that got together and tried to figure out what would a meet look like that was here. The most we've had here before is about 1,200. So we think that this is the right capacity for people to have a great experience.
Next.
Ronnie Speeds, College Rock Corps, for Coach Dave Smith there. So, Boston last year, you guys hosted NCAA your home course. And assuming you got a chance to see the course up here, what do you say is the biggest difference between those two courses?
They're very similar. I think our guys got here and we're excited to see this course. First of all, it's a beautiful place. I mean, I don't know if we've been in a more beautiful setting for a cross-country meet than this one, so that's awesome. I think, I personally love running in beautiful places, and I'm sure the athletes are excited by that. The course is really challenging. It's fair, it's wide, there's long straightaways for passing, moving. I think there's a lot of similarities. Ours is obviously a manicured irrigated. That's a little different. Some people think that's not real cross country. It's too manicured. Some people think this is more cross country. It's a little bit more, old school. Either way, they're two great courses. I think, we're kind of getting spoiled now with really good courses, really good venues, and this is certainly another one.
We'll go with Mouse with.
Yeah, Corey Mall, Flow Track Mouse with. I have a question for you, Dave. Well, you talked about selecting 7 men on the day. You got 10 here.
Yeah.
That's hard for a coach, obviously, to determine who gets the run.
Yeah.
What's kind of your process, or what goes into determining basically who goes in?
Everything from spreadsheets to dartboards, and it's just been, every time I get my mind made up and then I try to convince my assistants I'm right and they'll argue against me and they'll convince me, I'll walk out of the room thinking, okay, I'm gonna go with them. They'll call me and say, okay, you were right, we should do what you want to do. And so we've gone back and forth, and honestly, I've got 4 guys I know I'm running, and I've got 1 guy I know I'm not running. And so I've got 5 guys for 3 spots. And each one of those 5 guys at some point in this year has given me indication they can be top 30 in this meet. And each one of those guys has also looked like they're gonna be 230th. And so it's trying to figure out which of those guys we run and which of those guys we don't, and kind of reading body language. It's hard, kind of hearing the things they say and the tone of their voices. Maybe we start getting too, I don't know. It's a hard process. We're gonna at some point have to make a call. I think we get to 20 minutes before race time. I've been pushing for 10, but Jeff Malinsky won't let me do that. So at 19 minutes and 30 seconds, we'll be making a decision.
Great. Next question.
Yeah, question for Mike. A lot of the athletes who are key contributors in your team right now are in their first year in the program. Many of them transferred in. How did that team come together with assembling the roster, and also why do you think that many people thrive so well in their first full and flag start?
Yeah, the transfer portal has changed a lot of things in college athletics. Many coaches spoke about the unintended consequences of decisions like this, and now we are experiencing them. But you've got rosters that can change, in the blink of an eye. Our team has been the beneficiary of the transfer portal on both our men's and women's side the last few years, and we've had nothing but positive experiences. What I like about it is you're bringing in seasoned veterans that bring their own style and experience from other programs. We talk a lot about the different chapters of people's running careers. Now it's possible to have multiple chapters in the NCAA, and your college running isn't just one chapter. We're fortunate that our athletes come from places where they've been coached really, really well. They've had strong cultures. They've got a lot of experience, and so it diversifies and amplifies, what we bring to the table at NAU. They've made us better as much as we've made them better, not just from a performance standpoint, but from their past experiences as well.
This is John with CITIUS May. Question for Mike Smith. So the women's program has been up and coming the past few years. It has reached the same level as the men's program. I'm curious what's helped bridge the gap between those two and make them both podium teams.
Well, I think for years at Northern Arizona, our men's program competing at such a high level has shown what's possible there, and there's just no reason that we haven't got a men's team doing this and not a women's team. And it's taken us a while to get there. We've been kind of clawing and scratching our way. I think it takes one push to maybe get into the top 10 or 15, but man, there's this whole other push to kind of get into that top 5 or podium position. But I think we've always seen that it's possible. We train in the best place on earth, and we've got everything available for our women's program to take advantage of. We just needed people to buy onto that dream, and the folks that helped us get there, the names you all will never know. They know who they are, and they're so much a part of what we're doing right now. It's taken a while, but we finally got them in a place where I think they'll stay for a long time.
Kyle River, CITIUS Mag. How many points do you think it's going to take to win tomorrow? Last year, 83 was enough for first and second. What are we adding up now on the men's side?
One less than NAU.
And then also, Coach Henes as well on the women's side. I know it was 114 last year. What are you calculating is necessary?
We don't really try to go through and calculate a specific number. I can't imagine that 114 would win the NCAA title on the women's side this year. It would definitely be under 100 points, I would think, and probably well under.
I think 75. Somewhere in that range. Right?
But 75, yeah.
So 74.
I'm Carrie Collison with ESPN. Laurie, we had a big blow this morning with Kelsey having to come out. So can you talk a little bit about that and how the dynamic is on the team going into tomorrow?
Yeah, our returners, have been here together since 2019. A lot of them. We have, I think, 5 women here who started at NC State in 2019 or 2020 together. And so, yeah, there's no way around it. This was a tough 5 or 6 days trying to, and she did everything she could to be able to line up. As I've said, it's something she will be able to come back from. It's not surgical. It's not an actual fracture. We had 2 or 3 different doctors look at it, and the amount of swelling in there is she's just not going to be able to run on it. So yeah, I think though these women have pulled together so much in the past. They care about each other so much that they want to run for her, but also her being here and the way she has approached this is just what you would expect from Kelsey. But I said it before, and I've gotten texts from most of the women's coaches, top coaches in the country right now. Everybody loves Kelsey. She's a 13-time All-American. She's about the most consistent person in the NCAA. So to have that be, the last 10 days of her career, but she's not going to dwell on it that way. She's here for her teammates, and she'll be back.
Question for all of the coaches. This course is interesting in that it's not flat, but it's also kind of slanted in some areas, and sometimes the best footing is not the shortest line. So I'm wondering, how do you coach your athletes in terms of which one they should be prioritizing, the short footing or the shortest distance?
We're not even going to talk about it. I think it's too complicated, especially, this race is chaotic. And maybe if you're Nico Young and NAU up there pushing the front, you can see what you're doing and pick a path. But for most of these athletes, they're running in a group. It's hard to see what's coming up 15 meters from now, and trying to memorize that after 2, practice runs is kind of hard. So at the end of the day, there's probably not much difference one way or the other. Just get out and run. And honestly, we're just going to follow NAU. So whatever they do, we're doing.
You guys have input, because both you guys have athletes who could be in the very front of the races.
I think Dave's right. What makes this race so much different than almost any other race all season long is the density of the field. And so there's just very few times, even it'll take a while for even the front to be able to pick a line like that. But yeah, in general, we speak a lot about tangents. That is for sure part of this. The uneven terrain is something I think when you ask them after the fact, they won't even notice. So.
We've been on this course a decent amount because we did not go to the early meets this year, but we've had ACCs here and the Southeast region here a couple times, and I don't think, it's definitely different than Stillwater, footing-wise, for sure, but I don't think it makes that big of a difference. And like you said, here with the density of the field, it is harder to really plan on what you're going to do in those situations anyway.
Yeah, I had a follow-up for you, Laurie. How I know Kelsey. I was curious about Morris. Taking it from Alabama, obviously, you talked about that finisher here. Is she healthy and ready to go tomorrow? Is she going to be part of the picture?
She is. She's healthy. She had, I think a lot of coaches, it's tough in the summer. A lot of sports in the NCAA that are fall sports, they're on campus pretty early, and you have access to, what's going on, and they have access to trainers, things like that. So she had a setback over the summer. She missed most of the end of July and most of August. And so it's been kind of just a process getting her back, but she loved the course, she's excited, she's ready to go.
like to know what you studied
I'll
in.
do that, yeah. We asked all the athletes what they studied. So, what did you guys study in college? You're such great coaches.
History.
History?
I was wildlife biology, and I got my PhD in pharmacology.
English.
First psychology, then education, and then my degrees in history, which all of those are helpful in the career path that I've chosen.
You can ask your real question.
That's huge, yeah. No, but for Coach Dave Smith, wasn't able to find a lot about Dennis Kinetich or Brian Rousseau. Just wondering, like, if you could give a little context to what they did prior to the program and why you recruited them, or maybe they made a huge impact on NCAA.
Well, we had another athlete we thought was coming, but the last minute did not come in basically July. And then we had another athlete we thought was returning, who in July called and told me he was not returning. And so all of a sudden, I had money available and holes in my roster. And I had some connections who had kind of talked to me about Dennis and Brian both, but that connection was not comfortable really committing that they were at this level. And in July, I said, I don't care. Whatever they are, whoever they are. And he said, well, Brian's only run 350, but I think he can be really good. He's more of a middle distance guy. I don't know if he can help you in cross. And I was like, well, we got to take a chance. And then he also ran 13:54, which is a pretty decent time for a young guy. So we took a chance thinking he might be a 2 or 3 year guy. And he came in and was struggled for 4 or 5 weeks training and then just sort of popped. And he's been really good since. And Dennis was opposite. Dennis had done some pretty good things. He was third in not the Kenyan Championships, but the Kenyan Trials, which is a slightly different level meet, but he was third in the Kenyan Trials, so had some real credentials. His track times were good, not great, but definitely worth, if you're third in any race, national level race in Kenya, you're gonna be pretty good. So we took a chance we brought him as well, and interestingly, Brian's probably been a little more consistent than Dennis has. So, but they're both, I think, top 20 level athletes on the right day, and they've both shown that. They've also both shown that maybe they're not there. So it kind of depends on the day, I think. It's a hard adjustment when you are leaving a country and a culture and a family and a way of living. And Brian was more urban. He lived in a city. Dennis is not. And so I think Dennis hadn't used a computer before he got here. So there was a lot of adaptation and adjustment and just learning the way. It was, like a deer in the headlights for a while, but he's catching on.
Very cool, another space. Dave, obviously, with Laurie talking about both the situation with Kelsey and Amaris, you certainly have gone through that with Molly Bourne many times over. How special is it that she's one of 4 women that ran the 2018 race that are going to be here? Like, what does she bring not only in terms of, just that fight and that grit, but also just the energy with the team?
Honestly, this situation of Molly Bourne is one of the reasons you coach. She has been, I might get a little emotional, she's been a fighter and just a gritty, never say die, no quit kid who's had injury after injury after injury. If she thinks about running, she gets injured. In fact, she missed 3.5 weeks in the middle of this season because she got hurt again. And there was, tears and frustration, and that's it. This was my last chance, and it's over for about a minute or two. And then she said, I'm gonna find a way. I will find a way. And here she is, and she's running incredibly. And it's just, to me, it's just heartwarming to see a kid like that who's just, like I said, been gritty, never say die, keeps fighting, and here she is, and a chance to help us do something. We've had 1 trophy in our school's history. Last year we got 4th, and we're hoping to find a way back to the podium. And without her, there's no way. We're missing 2 or 3 already, and if we lose her, it's impossible. So to see her find a way to stay in shape for 3.5, 4 weeks while she had to take some time off and come back and run our conference meet, and just blew my mind at the conference meet. So yeah, really excited for her personally.
We got anything in the chat, Clint?
Nothing in the chat.
Anything else in the room?
Coming up on time anyways. So thank you to coaches.
Okay.